want to hear it, leather boy.
Describe condiments, but I'm on
Leather
your side.
boy.
I'm on your side, man. I am literally defending you. It's crazy to go. Okay, fine. You die. Die in the snow.
Oh, wow, wow.
I was just like, what's this sauce? It's really good. And like, let me check. And then he just comes back, it's butter. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I don't know. I was thinking about like, also since you have a job, it's different. See, I was thinking about when I like had a full-time job when I had the gap year, and I was like, the most, I guess, irresponsible thing was when my Joy-Cons broke on my Switch, and I instead of fixing it, I just got a brand new Switch because I was like, I can't.
Whoa,
Speaking of
wait. You got a new Switch and not just new Joy-Cons?
Yes. Speaking of which, Switch 2.
No.
No?
Whoa.
Damn.
He hasn't even introduced the show yet.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was like, damn, this is a great.
Everybody is going a little fast here.
This conversation.
Yeah, but like,
But yeah, Tommy has
Yeah.
been needing to do that though. Like,
Yes.
you're-
Yeah.
I did tell you that you should just do it. Talking.
yeah.
But anyways, welcome
Hello.
everyone to the Steak Podcast, where everything we talk about is juicy. I'm your host Tommy. I'm a computer engineer who loves video games and watches a lot of anime. Anyone can go up.
Sure.
I'll go. Oh, you go.
So hey, I'm Joshua. I'm a medical student who hates video games and hates anime.
That's crazy. That's the craziest statement I ever heard in my life.
Hey, I'm Horace. I am a screenwriting student who, I don't know, still trying to find his relationship to those things, anime games. Yeah.
Kenny?
Hi, I'm Ken E, apparently. Thank you. But I have never touched a single video game, nor anime, nor honestly any piece of technology in my entire life. So I don't know how I'm even here right now.
Hate all of you. Moving
You know
on.
No. I was thinking about it the other day because, like, I watched way less anime than I used to. However, in my screenwriting classes and when I write things, I sometimes realize when people ask me what this is based on, realize, oh, damn, I based it off of anime I watched in, like, 2019. I'm like, ooh, I'm not saying that out loud. I'm not her. Expose myself as a weeb, but no.
I feel
It's
like
built in my blood.
can't be elitist against anime. They don't have the right.
No, but they are. I already mentioned the time I brought up Satoshi Kon, and they're like, "Horse, you're into anime?" And I was like, I said the guy who's like, I said the most pretentious anime guy of all time. Like, that was the most film bro thing I've ever said. I'm like, no, it's just an anime guy to them.
Interesting.
Anyways, Satoshi Kon, Perfect Blue.
What is
watch-
that? What is?
It's what?
Sorry. What? No. Is that? That's a director.
Yeah, he created the anime Perfect Blue, Millennium Actress. There's another movie that like the movie Inception is based off of. He's a very big anime director.
Never
Like,
heard of
makes,
this guy
like,
in my
psych-
life.
This is why I was like, this is not even an anime reference. This is like a film bro reference. But I lose on either. I lose on both sides. How? Oh my god.
All right, but yes, welcome everyone. Moving on forward. Yeah, I guess we can move on to our first topic today, which is let's talk about the Switch 2.
Oh my god.
Whoa,
Good
you know,
transition, sorry.
yeah,
I'll
but
talk about my Switch 2 experience.
okay, yeah.
I got the Switch 2 the night it came out. I got it at Best Buy. I walk into the line. I see like what I thought were high schoolers in front of me, right? Like two people come behind me. It's a pretty rotund individual who I'll say smells badly. Okay.
Was also a long
Okay,
line
yeah.
like that. Were you in?
That was
It was like it wasn't that long. I was in the pre-order line, but the like by day of line was long as fuck. But so yeah, I get in line. I see the two people in front of me, like, and I'm like, I see these quote unquote high schoolers. I'm like, damn, I'm old as fuck, right? Then they start
Mm.
talking, right? And they start talking about how they're like freshmen at like the local college. I'm like, wait, these are freshmen? They look so young, right? And then I realize I'm actually old as fuck. So yeah, Switch 2 night definitely made me feel like an old man and made me ashamed to feel around gamers. But the Switch 2 is great though. Like the screen looks beautiful, feels great in your hands, looks very sleek. The games run great. Just like looking at like Tears of the Kingdom, the game looks a lot better. Mario Kart World has been a lot of fun so far, so pretty happy with my purchase. Yeah.
Did you get anything else like in addition to like just the Switch 2? Did you get any games, any accessories, anything like that?
Got the Pro
I feel
controller, might be the best controller I've ever used
Bro,
actually. I haven't
God
used
tier.
the recent Xbox controllers, which I've heard are pretty good. But no, it's actually such a great controller. And then I feel like I got something else. I
You
guess
didn't get any
not though.
you didn't get any games or anything?
I got like a screen protector and yeah.
Yeah.
But just Mario Kart World. Yeah. I already have my decent Switch
Oh,
title.
did you get the bundle or did you get
Yeah,
get
no,
it?
yeah, bundle. I think by now you can tell I might have lied about not liking video games or anime. I'm sorry.
uh
Um,
Disgusting, actually disgusting. So I'll talk about my Switch experience. I'll say this, it was a very interesting experience, right? I got there I think around 8, and my pre-orders were scheduled, my Best Buy was scheduled to do pre-orders at 10. So I got there at 8, 2 hours early. It was very funny because I was supposed to meet up with friends, but my roommates wanted to get food beforehand. So we went to go eat out. I don't know. We sat down to eat somewhere, but we came back. I was late, right? And the problem was is from our group chat we were like, oh, there's two different lines, right? And so I was texting my friend who I was supposed to meet. Was like, hey, there should be two different lines for Best Buy. There should be a pre-order line. Should be a lot shorter because we both have pre-orders. What actually happened was there was just one fat line, and the thing is,
Mm.
we went the opposite side of where the line started. Like drove from the opposite side of the building, so we only saw like first like 5 people before it curved. So we were like, oh, it's not that much people. And then so my roommate dropped me off, and then I turned the corner and I was like, oh my god, this line's gigantic. And I asked, where's the Switch 2 line? And then Switch 2 pre-release line, and everyone pointed to the back of the line. And I'm like, there's no way. There's already like probably 100 and something people here, and I'm like, there's no way that all these people have pre-orders like lined up. Find out that they didn't have separate lines. They straight up just had one line. Um, Luckily enough, my roommate did get there when he was set to be, and I slid into the line casually, talking about, hey, Street Fighter patch came out. I was like, oh, how Street Fighter, my got nerfed. Lady came out. That's cool. So I slid in there.
Yeah, it might
Um,
be a horrible.
I think I cut
Horrible.
maybe 20 people.
I'm glad you're introducing yourself on the right foot.
oh,
Bro, no, I'm not with. And I'm like sitting there by myself, and my phone's at like 30%, and I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna be here for 2 hours. But like, if I sit alone in the back of the line with 30% phone, I'm like, it may be over for some people. But and it's so while I was sitting there, I talked to my friend for a long time. We talked about a lot of things, a lot of video games. So it was really cool. He's a year older than me, and everyone there was actually very hyped. So a group in front of me was a family. It was like a dad and his 2 kids ready to pick up Switch 2. A group behind me was 2 elderly people trying to pick up a Switch 2. And so I didn't feel old or anything. If anything, I felt like I don't know, I'm middle of the pack because I'm literally in the middle of the pack here. So I didn't feel old, but what made me feel old was everyone's being hyped up. Actually, I really enjoyed this. The Best Buy people were like really trying to hype up the crowd. They were like, "Yeah, Switch 2!" You know, every time like it felt like 30 minutes came, like Switch 2 in like this amount of time. They even got into their Tesla because then they're all like leaving because it was off their shift, and they played like Rainbow Road music as they drove by in their Tesla, like just blasting it at max volume.
Oh yeah, you live in Sorry, I
Yeah.
forgot where you live.
No, I live in
What?
Colorado, but yeah.
Remember doxing him?
Sorry, that's why I stopped. That's why I was like, oh fuck.
Well, no further context, but I live in Colorado. But so anyways, yeah, they were blasting like Rainbow Road, like as they're driving by, and everyone was hype. And then I made very terrible financial choices because originally the only things I bought for the Switch 2 was the Switch 2 with Mario Kart bundle and the Pro controller because I knew I wanted those. In this whole lead up, I was like, maybe I want the camera, right? The camera is like, maybe, you know, there's a new feature. It's a pretty good camera. I'm not getting the Piranha Plant camera, even though it actually does kind of look sick. My friend got it. But I was like, maybe I get a camera, right? And then this whole time, I want to get Bravely Default HD Remastered, Flying Fairy. I don't know why I get the full name, but the Best Buy didn't have it. It literally just said coming soon, and I didn't know. No one was selling this game for some reason. I know it's a release. I don't know why this physical version of this game is not being like pre-released or pre-ordered anywhere. So they give me a paper saying, for the people who also didn't buy a Switch, is like, check off whatever you have. If we have extra of them, we'll get it, right? So I got a screen protector. I got a case. I got the camera. I got the camera, and then I realized that I don't have an SD card. And I realized that, so I bought an SD card for that. And then when I got there, they did split us into lines after like who had Switch, who didn't have Switch. Once we got into the actual Best Buy, I also want to say that day in Colorado, it was told that it may rain that day. It did not, but I was worried that it was gonna rain. I was gonna get sick. But I guess I'll miss work. I got in there, and then they had Flying Fairy. I ordered it, and then I'll probably post a picture of what it looked like. But that day was crazy because a lot of stuff came out, and I picked up a lot of stuff. But I got my Switch 2 stuff, and I got a whole bunch of stuff. I spent extra probably $200 just waiting in line for 2 hours, and I guess you can't leave me with a piece of paper and games and accessories without me buying more stuff. But it was a fun experience. My actual opening, it was even at 12 o'clock at night, all my roommates stayed up to literally just watch me open the Switch. And I never had an OLED, so like I'm used to the very tiny Switch screen. And when I opened it, I was like, whoa, this thing's gigantic. Like it felt like really big to me. It was very vibrant. Disconnecting and connecting the Joy-Cons are the most satisfying thing both me and my roommates did. And then the Pro controller is insane. I gave the Pro controller to one of my friends, and he was like, bro, I now need to pick up a Switch too. But yeah, no, it was very good. I love it. I just wish there's some gripes I have about it, but I will go into that. But yeah, that was my Switch 2 experience.
Sounds like you're. I was gonna say, sounds like you're never gonna financially recover from buying a Switch 2.
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't that bad. No, like max I
Bro,
spent on the
you
Switch 2 total was $700. I'm pretty sure. That's not too bad.
Crazy. That's literally insane.
Bro.
I'm sorry.
A day's
Well,
work for guys like us.
Yeah, in this economy, I mean, Jesus Christ, 700.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. Also,
yeah.
I was going to say, it's very important to note because I was like, we probably need to talk about that because both the other two people on this call, me and Kenny, say hi.
Hi, what?
Okay,
What
great.
the fuck?
Great to hear your voice. It's been a while, but we don't have Switches, and I was thinking, well, one of the reasons why I don't have a Switch, I'm not going to get it, I'm going to wait a little bit, is because I'm not sure if it's the greatest purchase on launch for me at this moment. Because I'm like, right now, even though I think the Switch looks great and I like everything, I'm not like a huge Mario Kart World fan, so I was just thinking to myself, um, I should wait a couple months, maybe watch a direct and see if I want a game or two, and then consider purchasing it. Um, yeah.
I
Kenny?
will. Well, before that, hold on, wait. I will say this: I'm not a big Mario Kart fan either, and besides Bravely Default, I think the main reason why I bought a Switch is FOMO, right? I didn't want what happened to the PS5 to happen with the Switch. So I did have the money for it, right? So like that's also another thing is like I did have the money for it, but like usually I'd wait. But I think FOMO hit me and I was like I don't want the Switch 2 to be like the PS5, so I did end up copying mine. But yeah, continue on, Kenny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much in the same boat that you are in terms of that. Because just like, I'll be honest, at least for as long as I can tell, when I was growing up, I always wanted to get like the systems and stuff. But I was always just like a year or so behind. So it's pretty much, I'd get it and it'd be like, oh, cool, we can bring yours in. We play it for like a couple days and like recess or whatever, and then we just kind of taper off. So then I was just doing it, and it was just pretty much like that. And then at least I got the Switch like on release pretty much. I was there. I think it's a funny story. So even like I literally walked into the store and I was like, I'm here to pre-order Switch, and like, oh, do you want the colored one? I was like, sure. Long story short, didn't get the colored one. I literally had it got delayed by like a week to pick
Oh,
up.
that's crazy.
And then I literally I literally got the box. It was wrapped in like a bag or something, so I didn't realize it. So I walked back home and I opened it up and I was like, this isn't colored. I'm pretty sure I didn't like lose some rods and cones in between like the time I opened the box to here and now. So I went back and I was literally just like, hey, here's a receipt. I asked for a colored one. Can I get that? And they were like, you're gonna have to wait another week. And I was like, never mind.
There
And
wasn't
I
a
just got it.
Was there a price difference between colored and uncolored? No, right?
Not at all. And even so, I don't see it was more than like $20 then, because that was when I was actually frugal.
So
And I
you're
was
saying
actually
that you want to own the colored? Is that what I'm getting from this, or?
Yeah.
own the colored? No, I said
Yeah,
I
I don't
wanted
know.
to.
Yeah.
You're extrapolating some very
I
very
feel like
choice
you could use the word
intent from my word.
colorful or red blue or you said colored like 7 times.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. All right, so the opposite of that don't look
I'm
good.
not gonna lie,
However-
would love that actually.
Okay, number one, of course not. Number two, I'm pretty sure like the entire time, at least through the entire chain of command that I was trying to get the Switch, they were just like, "Do you want the colored Switch?" And I was just like, "Sure, yes, I like the colored Switch." And I guess it just got ingrained to my memory because it was just like I don't know. I feel like I don't know because
What state
Also
did you buy
feel-
the Switch in again, just for the record?
uh,
We know.
Interesting.
Oh.
He doesn't want to say.
I
Moving
do
on.
not wait,
Bro,
wait, hold on.
I think
Wait,
the most.
my lawyer
I'm sure
gave me
we
one.
all
I do not
know because
recall at this time. There you go.
I think the most sketch thing from that story is that it came in a bag.
No, it was like okay, it was like the GameStop bag or whatever, and then it was like the receipt was stapled to the front, so it was just like probably. So I just didn't
Yeah.
see it. It was like a
I was
GameStop
like-
bag. not-
Okay.
No.
Sorry.
did not
I'm thinking like a plastic wrapped like duct tape bag. And I was like,
Oh no, I don't.
But
I was like, damn, this GameStop robbed.
He got it.
that sounds like that
don't
sounds
even-
sketch. But
GameStop
Yeah,
was going
paying like
down?
2,000 for it. Yeah, it was actually a guy behind the GameStop.
Yeah.
2017 was crazy year for GameStop. We didn't know. Damn.
speaking about the staple bag thing, right? Have you guys heard of the how GameStop did the pre-releases and or pre-orders and how they like stapled the ticket to the Switch, but like when you open the Switch up, the first thing that's there is a screen. So then like apparently
Yeah,
some of the
oh,
stapled
oh,
came
is-
through.
Yeah.
Is my old story going to be like a piece in some kind of class action in the future? Uh-oh.
Well, you know,
Because
it's already
in
is. Like, I don't
2017,
know.
they were still stapling things.
Damn.
But the Switch One wasn't packaged like that, right? I don't remember.
I don't
No,
remember.
it was in a box. I remember buying it. Again, I was the most recent Switch buyer. It comes in a box made by Nintendo, similar to the Switch 2, but
Mhm.
long. It is unremarkable, but kind of cool. I don't know.
The Switch
Yeah,
or
I
the
was
staple?
thinking.
I'm like, what's unremarkable?
Oh, I thought you were talking about the
Right.
box. Yeah,
Yeah, the
The,
box.
we're on the box.
Yeah.
yeah. I thought
We're
that was where the
box.
conversation.
I'm
Very
Yeah, I
talking
think
about.
Josh would think the Switch is unremarkable because he hates video games. You gotta get that straightened out.
But
Well, I already said I might have been bending the truth ever so slightly there.
It's fine. Alright, I got you. Okay.
I will
But
say,
yeah, I pretty much like agree with some of y'all's overall thoughts. Mario Kart is sick. But if you're not a Mario Karter, I don't think there's much of a reason to buy the Switch 2 currently. And even on like the future horizon with like Donkey Kong and Hyrule Warriors and Dragon Drive, like whatever the fuck. Like, yeah, I don't think Nintendo has like I guess Mario Kart's usually for more of the casual audience, so I don't think they've put out the killer app that's gonna get their more like dedicated fan base, like 3D Mario or Zelda or whatever. So they definitely need to work on that. But it seems like it's selling well anyway, so maybe I'm wrong.
No, I don't. I don't think any of it matters. I think Switch was popular, and Switch 2 is exactly what it sounds like. I don't know.
You know,
It's the
the
same
Wii was
thing. Yeah.
popular. The Wii U sold out during the first few months, right? Like, I think time will tell. I do think the Switch 2 is going to be successful, but like, I don't think Nintendo's taking it for granted, and I don't think they should. Like, you definitely have to like. I think Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey are like some of the biggest reasons why the Switch did so well. Having such like two like amazing games in the first year that like almost everybody wanted to play, and to be honest, the Switch 2 doesn't have that right now. Mario Kart is like a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, and it's enough for me, but I think for most people, like it's not Mario Odyssey or Zelda, and yeah.
you know, I'll say this. I do agree. Again, for someone who has one JRPG and loves JRPG that got released on Switch right now, I don't know. It is a little lackluster. I think compared to Switch One at the very least, like it is just Mario Kart, and then we have Street Fighter, but then Street Fighter is on every console now. So that's like the big thing. And then when I look at like even the future release, right? Like again, like you said, we had Breath of the Wild and Odyssey wasn't released on release, but it came soon after. We have like on the horizon. Well, we had Mario Kart World, but then we have Metro Prime or Metro Prime 4, and we have and Donkey Kong. Regardless, made by the Odyssey team, still not a Mario game that like. When I saw Mario Odyssey, I'm like, I'm playing Mario Odyssey. I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably not gonna play Donkey Kong. And you know it is made by the same team, but like I'm not a Donkey Kong person. You know that's not me. Regardless, again, yeah, I did buy the Switch, and I have bought like almost every Nintendo console on release or soon after. But it is a little lackluster, I will say, and I'm not a big Mario Kart person either. So it makes sense for a lot of people not to buy it, but it is selling like crazy still.
You know, I just realized I thought about it, and I realized that I think the only Nintendo console that I bought on release is the Wii U, and we all know how that turned
Amazing.
out. Yeah, yeah.
So
I
that
was
means
like,
the Switch is gonna be successful. Because if the one console that didn't wasn't successful,
Because they didn't get the
Yeah.
horse first.
Yeah.
yeah.
Huge.
Oh wait, but I did. Oh yeah, wait. I did have a thought where there is like a thing that is drawing me to the Switch 2, which is how much better it is than the Switch 1 at running things. And I'm like,
Running Switch 1 games, yeah.
yeah, like where I'm like, oh, if, for example, Pokemon, I was like, I, I think when the new Pokemon game comes out, I'm going to get the Switch because that's the perfect. I don't want to play on my Switch, my regular Switch, where Pokemon are making the console chug and it's overheating and everything sucks. Versus the beautiful gameplay that I've seen on Twitter, or X.com, I forgot, but
Everything.
where yeah, everything app, I forgot, of course. Thank God, thank to Elon. But where everything looks so much better and less choppy, I think that like makes it when you see that, it does seem like it might be worth it without like if you're a guy who's like a Nintendo fan, likes their consoles, but still maybe wanna wait till games are coming out. When you see like, oh no, you can just port games over and it runs better, that still might be enough. Well,
I
you
will
know.
say I know it's enough because my roommate who waited with me for the midnight release of Tears of the Kingdom did not finish Tears of the Kingdom solely because it ran terrible on his Switch. And then my coworker that I hang out with a lot, he didn't pre-order Switch 2, but he's not like, and he told me, I'm not gonna pre-order Switch 2, or I'm not gonna get it for a while. Like told me like 2 days ago, I was like, I'm gonna get it because Pokemon runs good on that, Tears of the Kingdom runs good, and there is a thing where like, yeah, Nintendo made games that like half run on the Switch, and now they run really well on the Switch too, and people enjoy seeing frames. It's kind of crazy.
It's actually kind of crazy. It does make me realize how much I've defended Nintendo and Pokemon in the past, and then I see upgraded frame. They improve it a little bit, and I'm like, oh wow, this shit was shit. Oh my god. Oh, well, but yeah. See me in November. I'll be there.
Oh, so you're saying for Legends? No, I thought you were saying for Gen 10, but you're saying for like Legends EA.
No, yeah, I love Kalos region. I don't know. Like
Kalos
I do yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna wait that long to buy a Switch. I just don't wanna. I want to wait for like once a game that I'm interested comes out, I'll buy it, and then I'll play on it for a while.
Kenny, I
Yeah.
know you don't have a Switch. Are you ever gonna plan to buy a Switch if you're here? And like, if so, what reasons? We may have to come back to him though, admittedly.
Any? Wow.
All right.
Damn.
Nah,
Oh.
he's dead. Moving on. But we'll say, yeah, no. The Switch 2 is good. Like I said, like, I don't know. We have games, and like games that run better. We have two new games.
Okay, wait.
Fast RMX or Fast Fusion and World, right? Those are the new games. They're not ports or anything, right? Am I wrong about that? That those are the two
No,
new
you're.
games.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Um,
But and is it worth the price increase? And because that is the issue. I mean, we already glossed over when you mentioned that you spent on total $700.
well, that's what
$700 is a lot. Yeah, obviously we're not.
To be honest,
Yeah,
the price is fine. Like, yeah, that's just the truth of it. Like with the modern economy, chips, like the threat of like inflation and all that stuff this year, like it's a reasonable price to pay for like console that's likely gonna last you for the next 8 years. So
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
crazy thing is like with everything. Oh, sorry, what?
no, I wish I could debate that for like minutes, but like I am buying the console. It's just yeah. So it's,
And,
yeah, you won.
One thing I'm mad about also is, and I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure this is correct, but I think I said this, but one thing I didn't buy, but I was really close to, was buying Street Fighter 6. And I already have Street
That would
Fighter
be-
6.
Yeah,
on the
that would
computer.
be a horrible waste
But-
of money.
You know why I'm mad, right? I had to buy two season passes plus the base game, which is already like $60. I think base game for Street Fighter 6 with with both year passes and the base game is like is like 60 $70. Pretty sure it's 60. And I'm pretty sure I spent like 100. Maybe more, because DLC passes are a lot these days.
Yeah.
But, no. With
Yeah.
that, it was exciting because a lot of people there were also talking about Elena a lot. Elena's how you say it, right?
Elena.
Yeah.
Elena, yeah.
A lot of people were talking. Actually, a lot of people were talking
Come
about
on.
Elena, and then I know the kids were the kids who were in front of me were talking about how they want to play, and they were talking to us about Street Fighter, because we were just talking about like nerfs and stuff. And no, it's it's pretty insane. That, like I said, like the Switch 2 gave it cheaper pricing, and on release they get to play the new character, which is crazy. But the fighting games this month, we got a lot of new characters. We got Elena. If you play Grand Blue Versus, we got Galliant. We got Unica from Guilty Gear Dual Rulers,
Ooh.
the anime.
I recently watched a couple episodes of the anime.
Terrible.
And recently, this morning. Yeah, it's not that good. It's shocking. It's
But
Is that shocking? Did
I
anybody
don't know.
go for the story in Guilty Gear? Like we were like, oh yeah, this is why we're here for sure.
Yeah, but I was like, there's so much lore. I was like, okay, you could probably craft a story from the lore, like Arcane, but like worse. Of course, it was not.
Like,
But no, they like talk at you. There's so many minutes of exposition where a narrator explains lore, and I was like, I don't care about that. It's not good at all. Don't recommend. Unica is the antagonist of the show, though. It is. That's the thing. I don't know.
it's a cool idea for sure, but yeah, no, that's
no, it's,
I don't think you'd expect it to be good. But there also
No.
was like a lot of other just fighting game news in general. There was the Invincible fighter, like, cause and then also
Yeah.
Marvel took on Fighting Souls.
Oh yeah, which brings us to Marvel Token. I'm a huge fan of Marvel, like fighting games. Originally, Marvel vs. Capcom series, all of them, until they died. Rest in peace. In I don't know, I think 2017, and now it's finally back, but under a new company, Arc System, known for DBFZ and Guilty Gear. Incredible game. It looks beautiful. Trailer gets everyone excited. But what I think is very important, and what I want to talk about now, is how it's the roster. Because there's only 8 characters confirmed right now, and that leaves people speculating what could be on this roster. And I also
Who are
wanted
the
to
8
open up.
confirmed currently?
Off the top of my dome, it's Captain America, Iron Man, Miss Marvel, what's the Fire Skull guy? It's Robert Reyes.
Ghost Rider?
Ghost Rider, yeah. Robert Reyes is Ghost Rider. Doctor Doom, Storm, Star-Lord, and there's one more.
I make this joke
Probably a
before, but we're
Yeah.
we're I wonder if Arxis learned from their mistakes, and instead of making 8 Gokus, we only make like 5 Spider-Mans.
There's not gonna be
Especially
five
with
Spider-Man.
whatever, what is it, across the universe, or the whole Spider-Verse,
Yeah.
and everything.
Oh, Spider-Man. I didn't say Spider-Man. Wow, you
Oh.
really got that. Yeah. That was. But anyway, the real important thing is what does make a fighting game roster good? Like because that's like one of the things I think about when I play games. When you open up the screen and you see all the characters, you're like, what makes it a good game? Based off, like, let's not think about just superheroes, even though I do that all the time. Let's expand it more.
So
Anyone has? Yeah.
this is gonna be interesting because I don't play tag fighters, and I don't think any of us here really plays tag fighters like that. But usually, whenever I play fighting games, let it be platform fighters, 2D fighters, arcade fighters, um, I tend to gravitate towards one character. Let it be gameplay wise, aesthetics, special guest characters that I like, stuff like that. I've gravitated to certain characters because of those reasons why. But it's a little different for stuff like tag fighters, or in Tokan's case, a 4v4, because I don't know if I can pick, like, if I can pick one superhero I love a lot, but I don't know if I can pick four superheroes that, like, sure, I won't love them all the same, but I just don't think I'll pick four superheroes that, like, I'll play a bad character if I like them, right? Can I play four bad superheroes if I like them? And that's, like, I don't know. That's also one thing just about, like, the system in general, about 4v4, and I'll get into, like, what I think about the 4v4 system. But no, for me, generally it's just like one good character. Obviously, like, you have archetypes within those, and we'll get into that. But when I pick a good roster, right? It's not really a roster. It's just like, usually, like, and most people do this when they play the first fighters. They find one character that's either fun or looks aesthetically pleasing, and they just play with it. But like I said, here you're playing with four, and half the time you get, like, not the full screen time with them. So it really is just like how much you get, and, like, how much you'll find enjoyment with four. But maybe I'm wrong.
They have already said that you can just play with like one character and then just use the assist from the others. And we don't know like that many details about the gameplay itself, but what it seems like is like you're just gonna have one health bar, and that like we see like a little like soul like transfer between the characters when you tag. So I think that's what it seems like your health bar is gonna be connected to, and it's not gonna be connected to like each individual character. So in that way, I think that alleviates a lot of your problem with like you just learn one character, you have some few assists. It's still gonna be more complicated than Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat for like your average player for sure. But I think that makes it like a lot more manageable.
I'm also scared about the
It's also,
cluster.
well, it's also like, well, one, we don't know about the cluster, and people have their own like scare, like, feelings about it because it's never been done a 4v4. But I think what makes tag fighters and team fighters so different and so fun, in my opinion. Also, when I disagree, I don't know. I own DBFZ and I played it during like pandemic, and then I also I downloaded ROM hacked like the original Marvel vs. Capcom game in like high school. I would play against bots. But yeah. Don't lock me out. But what makes those games fun? Well, I mean, it's harder, and they didn't bring that in Marvel vs. Capcom. But what makes those games fun is like thinking of it as building out your team versus just one character. Like, because like in general, I think you can start from every tag fighter starts with like choosing a character that you like and then building around that character. It becomes like a almost like in my head like an RPG in a Pokemon game, or like where you're like, oh, you have your favorite fighter, you have your guy, but then you build your team based off of the guy's strengths and weaknesses, what that character needs and what the character may not have, and how they complement each other, and that becomes what's fun about the game.
I think that works for
Where you-
2v2s, but like, again,
it works
is
for
weird.
3v3s as well. Like famously, DBFZ worked really well and killed the Capcom.
Like,
Well, it just, or also Marvel, just Marvel in general. But I don't know how I feel about 4v4, but I don't know. Guilty Gear, I mean, Arc System is a pretty good fighting game company, and we'll see. it sounds messy, and I do agree with like, oh, there's a lot of shit on the screen. But I'm also that is like the fundamental thing about those fighting like tag fighters. There is just always going to have a lot of things happening at once, but that's what makes it exciting at sometimes. Um,
Hmm. Um.
but wait, what? Let's shift back a little bit because we let's talk about rosters of fighting games and stuff. And like so like for example, tell me what's your like favorite fighting game?
My favorite fighting game currently will probably have to go to either FF6 or Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising.
Okay.
Um,
So so what specifically about the rosters of those two games do you find exciting like about
I will
exciting about them?
say, and this is why I'm very concerned if they do multiple Spider-Mans. And again, that's like a big if. I'm making a joke that they will do it, right? But I think every character feels unique enough. Like, sure, we like even like Ken, Ryu, who like generally play the same. Ukuma, right? Who are all Shotos, generally play the same, are very different in how they play in moveset wise, like in a very like complex combo level, right? They all have different movesets that do different things, and you play them, and you may play them the same, but you play against them very differently. And I think having
Yes, you're right.
that, and like
I
again, so
wish you chose someone else than we're
I
doing
don't
than
I
Ken.
don't know. I don't know if I agree with you. Like I feel like Street Fighter 6 and Grand Blue are like two of the fighting games with like almost every character is like super super similar. Like Street Fighter 6 is like crouching medium kick drive rush the game, right?
okay,
Everybody's
yes,
drive rushing again, doing their combos like don't get me wrong, that is like very reductionist, but like I don't know. I don't think characters are as varied as even like past Street Fighter games. I think Grand Blue, I think some of the newer characters are definitely more unique. But like I think for most other people, it's like their combos are just like attack, special move, attack, special move, or we're super at the end, right? Like it's the combos aren't like very
oh,
hard in Grand Blue usually. And like characters do have some unique movement and all that stuff, but like I think you can pick up like most of the Grand Blue top tiers up like fairly easily. Like it's not like characters
I
have a high like skill floor
I do
most of
agree
the
with
time.
that. I will say this though, this is especially about regarding Street Fighter Six. Yes, the Cardo starters are generally the same. You don't have to do those, right? Cardo starters, but they're the most efficient ones. They're the easiest ones to pull off. But I don't know. Like I look at like okay, yes, they all start off probably medium kick, drive rush, right? Um, but then have you like you look at a Blanca and how he and his combo routing, and you're like, dang, that looks sick. He's in the air for like 50 seconds. Like it's and like he's throwing like Blanca Chan out. Kimberly has like these weird setups, and like yes, they all have the same. But at least like first, like I said, Street Fighter, like I don't know, they all have different movement. Aki feels very unique and fine. Akuma, and I think it's just balance too of how they do it.
What-
Huh?
yeah,
And yeah, like
I was
I
gonna
think
say
it
Akuma's kind of crazy, but
they.
yeah.
But for Grand Blue wise, yeah, I do agree that a lot of the characters play the same, and like in the newer characters, like kind of don't. Like Sandalphon does a lot of wall bounce combos. Galleon plays more zonery, and Vicola is just the pure troll, throw item, and zone character. And I think a lot of it comes down to attack special, especially for Grand Blue. But I think the system of Grand Blue feels nice. And I guess if you ask me what my favorite roster is, ooh, I would still probably say Grand Blue. But it would be Street Fighter if it's like both. If I'm talking about like pure diversity and like roster, right? Because I think all the characters are fun. Like again, like usually I only pick up one character, 1 to 2 characters. There's like 3 characters I want to play in in Street Fighter because let alone the combos are the same. They just look so fun and look so different to play, at least combo routing wise. Like I want to be a Blanca that throws up in the air and like just do these air combos.
Okay, but like what we're talking about, like from Horse's like initial question, like your favorite roster. You said like the reasons variety, right?
Yeah.
Um, even just like Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, right? Like, is there any character in Grand Blue or Street Fighter that like you have to play against as differently as you have to play against like Snake?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
thinking, like I don't think
But
so.
I also that's a part. I think that's also just a part of how the system works.
They're very different games. Don't get yeah, but I'm just like I think you can. I think it's fine, like for Grand Blue or Street Fighter to be your favorite roster. I was just saying I'm not sure if variety is like the actual
Yeah.
strength of those rosters. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, like yeah, that is true. Because I'm thinking like the most different character I have to play against is JP and Dawson, right?
Yeah,
But like
Yeah.
and Zangief. Yeah.
yes,
But
I do play different against Zangief. Yes.
what I was thinking about that because I think yesterday I said like how people really dislike playing against characters that play different like from the base roster. Basically, like people hate playing against Zangief and Dulcim versus like even better characters like Akuma, like because they have to like think differently. And I sometimes think like when balance patches come out, sometimes those characters go ignored because they're like, well, even if they're not that good, they will go ignored because the character, like most of the people who play, get very annoyed. I think that kind of feeds into like fighting games today, where it becomes like way more uniform of a roster versus like think about like Melee Jigglypuff would never exist in like well pretty much will never exist ever again because that's too polarizing of a character. Like it would never exist in no fighting game would dare to do this ever again on purpose. And if they accidentally did that, they would kill it immediately.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
So let me ask this, Horse, because you asked a question, right? But like, it is a hard question to answer because, and I do want to get into like system stuff, but without getting into system stuff, right? What actually gets what makes a roster for you? Because like it's hard for me to answer, right? And like again, I give you these vague answers that like for me, but I'm just curious what makes a roster for you when you're on your favorite fighting game.
I do like the word diversity in terms of a game. Like I do like when I see a roster, it's like a bunch of characters that look very different from each other. And I'm like, oh, I want to see what this guy's about. And you choose that character, and you're like, oh, you find like their moveset, and you figure out, and you look it up, and you're like, oh, I get how this person plays. But then you look up another character is like entirely different, and you're like, I think back to like Smash 4, looking up tutorials of the game, where I would watch like Ness, but then I watch like Diddy Kong or someone else, and I'm like, oh, you guys play pretty different. Immediately, Smash 4 is very weird because I'm like, when you talk about uniform, down throw is down throw the game, but it is like a lot of like later when the meta gets more developed, it becomes very different from each other, which is kind of fun. I
Yeah.
love but immediately I was thinking about Marvel. I think the thing that I will probably miss from Marvel the old Marvel games versus like this new Marvel in a new company is that there's less freedom of movement, and like Arc System does not really value movement that much as a company, like
More
as
stages.
a fighting game. Yeah, they have like, I mean, to be fair, like all the characters look great, but they're not like, I don't know, Marvel characters used to like some characters could fly in previous games and others did not, and that was just like tough luck, bro. But now it's like all uniform. When you make everything uniform, then it's like we limit the amount of movement you have, but then also like everyone gets the same amount of like options, like air dash. Where
But
I
it's like
feel
balancing, right? Like we're not into like balancing for competitiveness.
well, I guess, but like
No, I think what Horse is saying is really important. Like, it's not like balancing. Like, I think it's variety and like diversity. And like I was thinking, like, I don't like playing against characters that make me play the game differently most of the time, right? Like I was praising Snake, but Snake annoys me, you know? Like I'm like, okay, like why do I have to change my game plan for this annoying grenade throwing individual, right?
yeah,
And like obviously like Steve is like, oh my gosh, like that's a nightmare, right? Like
yeah,
having to completely change your game plan to play against this character. And like okay, like if every single match I played against, I was playing against Mario, I would also want to kill myself, right?
yeah,
So like there's a balance there, right? Like if there is a character, right? And like when you started the game against them, a screen of chess opened up, right? And you're like, what are you guys like and people were complaining, you're like, what are you guys talking about? Like it's just he's a bit different from the rest of the cast, sure, but like he's still pretty fair. Like you
Play
have to play a little bit
Shulk.
differently. But like no, I would be pissed off if I had to play chess in my fighting game, right?
yeah.
But also I you don't want everybody to be the same. And I think Horace, like you're expressing some valid fears about like everybody, being, sameified or whatever, and we're losing a lot of the diversity, and soon we're all just gonna be playing Mario, or all playing Ryu, right? Or all drive rushing, and then doing the same combo, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I think in general, it's a good direction for most players, even if people don't realize it, because people are going to complain anyway, right? Like you're never going to hit it perfectly, right? Whichever like way you sway, people are going to get mad. Um, but I think like the general movement towards um, like having these like big system universal systems for characters, and bringing in like stragglers, like I think that's good for the health of fighting games for sure.
Uh,
I think ultimately, I do think I agree with that. Where even like, I was going to end my point by saying, even though I feel all these concerns and fears, I ultimately think I benefit the most because, long story short, about DBFZ and like Marvel vs. Capcom, I stopped because I was like, damn, this is hard. Like, it's really hard to play an old game or like a game where um, if you're not used to like playing in that way, it's like very fast games. It's kind of hard to like catch up and like learn. And there's a thing of uniformity and simplicity that makes it easier for newer people to get in. And I'm like, oh, I'll benefit, and I kind of look forward to that. I guess it's the only thing I'm like, I guess more is just that I'm like, oh, I guess there's never going to be an option where like, okay, now that I know this, will there ever be a point where I'm like, I can get really good at like movement and like to the point where I'm like, I don't know. It just depends on the ceiling of the game. Where I'm like, can I get really, really good at movement to the point where no one else could? That's like a very cool idea, but I'm not sure if that's needed.
so
Yeah.
this actually is a good go into like says I want to talk about like system and like what makes the game feel good for both new and returning players. So the first thing that my big worry about the new Marvel game is or not worry, but the first thing that caught my eye was actually them saying that they want a smooth control system. And this is ArcSys we're talking about. There are 2 teams for it. I believe Team Blue, that can be wrong, is working on this. And these are the creators who also made Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus has a very unique system of fighting where it is a single button special rather than you can perform motion specials for a little bit of a benefit, as in like your first hit will do a little bit more. That is the only benefit of doing motion specials in Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. But it begs me the question is like, some of the complexity. Okay, so it's not the case now, but the complexity of older fighting games came from learning quarter circles, DP motions, full circles, half circles, right? And I look at games now, and the good barrier to entry for these games that like don't kill off things, because we look at City of the Wolves, where they have a very complex system in general, don't have these, and City of the Wolves isn't succeeding as well. But then we have stuff like, again, Grand Blue, Street Fighter, which came from Street Fighter V, which was not well received, or not as received as Street Fighter 6. And then they implemented modern controls, right? So I don't know, it's very interesting to see what Marvel is going to do. Because they're not going to do, they may just say copy and paste Grand Blue or copy and paste another game, right? But it is very fun. I remember I was watching new Street Fighter players. It was Ludwig versus Squeaks play, and I was looking at it and I was like, as much as I hate modern, modern is the easy way for people to enjoy the game. Where I see Ludwig stressing out because he can't do quarter circles to save his life, right? But it is rewarding when you get it. But it's like, when do you want that reward, right? Like, if you play Zangief modern, you're going to get that reward very quickly, and it's going to feel very good. You're like, oh, this game feels very good. It feels very natural. I can easily, hit people and do a bunch of big boy damage. Or, you can play like high skill characters, or in Ludwig's case, E Honda, who may not be the best character for him, like stylistically or whatever wise. But he enjoys, doing the inputs, and it feels good for him to get those wins and, get the reward of it. And that's the same thing what I do. I play Classic, and, I came from Smash, where I didn't have to do any of these crazy motion inputs. And, it's just very interesting. And I wonder if we're going to have, I don't like Grand Blue's version of the modern system, but it did bring people in. But I just want to see what ArcSys is doing for their token, because it does allow people to get in. And again, there are people who enjoy games differently, and this is a big way. Easy controls allows it to be easy way, but there's a whole balancing thing with it, and it just comes down to how you play it. And I don't know how you guys feel about modern style of controls, or I like to say Smash style, but Smash style of controls where things are tied to a button versus motion controls, or like motion inputs.
You have anything to say, Joshua? Or
Yeah,
Uh,
like I think motion inputs are so I think there's specific problems with like, games having too many buttons, or like I think I've seen with like 2XKO. I've not played any of the alphas or anything, but people complain that like it's just so hard to input some things, because like you have like I think 2 like special buttons and like all these directions and stuff, and like having no motion inputs just ends up making the game like less intuitive and like more annoying. But I think in general, motion inputs. Okay, I guess the other thing of motion inputs is like instant DPs are like, or instant dragon punches, instant reversals. That's very like game warping. To press one button and suddenly you're jumping up in the air, invincible, like smiting people out of the sky, right? And when you have to do like an input to do that, you need to like somewhat buffer it, or you need to take the time to do the motion, and that just changes game balance a lot. So I think those are 2 like very valid arguments against modern controls or simple inputs or whatever. I think otherwise, motion inputs are the future of fighting games for sure.
You think motion inputs, or like
Oh,
single
sorry,
input?
simple. Sorry, modern controls. Sorry. modern controls are the future of fighting games for sure. I think how Street Fighter 6 has it implemented is pretty good. Modern controls are viable. Like there's definitely some players who use them, but they also have disadvantages, so that like the balance issues like one button supers or one button DP like doesn't force players who don't want to use it to use it. I think that's very important for sure. But in general, like I think every fighting game that comes out like in the future needs to have modern inputs or an equivalent, or like they're probably just gonna struggle against the competition. And I don't think it's a bad thing to have these inputs. Like I also watched like the Ludwig tournament, and like I think eventually when he got decent at classic controls, it was fine. But I think he would have had a lot more fun the first like 10 hours of the game if he had just used modern inputs and been able to do like basic combos. And I think most people will get filtered out in those first 10 hours. So yeah, I think if like people that like fighting games want other people to play them, they need to encourage these modern inputs to be implemented more, and like yeah, and encourage people to use them and not feel ashamed for using them.
So I'll say this for someone who has played Grand Blue Versus, right? Because that's a like I like I said, I do also enjoy. I really do love the Street Fighter way of they're doing it, but Grand Blue does it a little bit differently, right? Where it's literally if you only do the motion input for your first attack, you get rewarded with some extra damage, and it's only first attack. Do you feel like in the end, I say this because this is ArcSys who made that system, right? Do you think a system like if they just ripped Grand Blue into Token, you think that's a fine system?
Um, depends on the kind of game that Token ends up being. Like for Grand Blue, it does like warp the game for sure to have like I said, like just one button supers, one button reversals, all of that. Um, so I think I would prefer the Street Fighter design, but would rather have the Grand Blue design in the modern era than just like pure classic, no like modern option at all. So if the option for Token was like only motion inputs or the Grand Blue design, I would go with the Grand Blue design.
I do agree. I do think this is the future. I think again, it's just like a lot of people don't like the fighting game community was small and niche for a reason. No, like again, a lot of people get filtered out within this curve of having to learn these things, but like there is like a skill, and a skill gap. And I would like to say that it would be cool to have this starting system and go into classic controls, but sadly not a lot of people do that. And I think again, Street Fighter does it the best, where you can make it competitively viable. It's just what is that way of making competitively viable. But other than that, it's like yeah, no, I think yeah, it's also the future. I'm not sad
I
about
wonder
it.
if I wonder if the goal is Smash. Like Smash has such a simple input thing, but like Smash at like a higher levels becomes really way more complicated. Even though like every motion input you can probably do since like you were 7 or 9. Like um, I wonder if there's a way to keep the inputs very simple, but like the gameplay um, just as like complicated, even like including like inputs.
Well,
I don't
But
think traditional fighting games are gonna be as popular as Smash Bros. Like
no.
well, no,
I think
there's no way.
I think that yeah, I think Sakurai hit something with Smash Bros. Like I
I
think
think
Ultimate, like I wish it had higher execution at the high level or harder execution at the high level. Um, like yeah, like execution for like Luigi zero to deaths or Rob combos are too easy. Like honestly, even though I hate Steve, like Steve execution is at a pretty good level where like you see like Steve players like drop stuff, you know? Like
yeah.
I feel like that's how it should be, at least for some characters. There should be like Lucinas in the game, don't get me wrong, right? But they're also like Snake and Steve I think are good examples of like actually, yeah, I think Snake and Steve are examples of a little bit harder execution. Snake less so maybe,
I just thought about it.
but
I don't know. I think Snake is kind of hard. Like just like all the movement, the B reversals,
he has a high floor. Like to get into the weeds on Snake, like he has a higher floor than most characters. But then once you get that floor, he has very high reward for not being that good at the game. But then again at the highest level, then he has a lot of like hard or difficult stuff that you can do again. So I think
and also
he has like, weird curves.
yeah, I just think that also like the high floor makes it pushes people away because I'm like, I've played some hard snakes, like definitely, but I've also played a lot of trash snakes, and I think it's like there's just like a barrier to entry for that character that I think is okay. There are other characters that make me mad that everything's so simple.
You know,
Like
I just,
yeah,
I just thought about what if so like Josh was talking about Smash is like it's a very special game, and Sakurai hit goldmine with it, which is what he did. But I thought about it, I was like, the way Smash works, you can tie every special into a motion input, and I'm like, well, what if Steve had to do motion inputs for every single one of his specials?
and it wouldn't work.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It would not work. And I was like, it's just I think I think the balance is if you go into more into like a Smash, like if games are going to actually rotate from motion inputs to Smash or modern inputs, I think you have to make those kind of like kits, right? Where like it's complex even for the modern input, right? Because like, again, if we said double down places a block for Steve, we're having people dropping that stuff. Like that's just too much movement, right? For like the stuff that we see like in tournaments for Steve. Yeah, no, I just think you just have to, if we were gonna make things more everything modern or whatever, you have to do it like Smash, or just either make complex things like and again, and you like you don't have to add like Tekken, add like 50, 100 move lists. God, that game's awful. But
We can't say that. We can't.
Bandai sponsorship.
We
But-
really can't say that. We're all non-Tekken players. We mean no
But-
harm.
I will say, that Smash only has like theoretically 4 specials, right? One tied to each direction, and that's not, in theory, that's not complex. But like you said, there are more complex motion inputs. If we tied every single one, to like a Smash button, it's doable. That makes sense, right? And I think, yeah, no, like I said, I think if you just want to make a kit like a game like Smash, or like that has a system like Smash, you have to make characters like Smash, because I think it just works. I don't think I can do.
Can we sorry, just briefly talk about why all other Smash-like games have failed, right? Like
Melee didn't fail.
Multiverses.
Oh, Smash like.
Oh, I'm saying Smash-like games like Multiverses, Nick All-Stars Brawl. I would say controversially Rivals 2 has failed. Don't get me wrong, like it's still has like a player base, like you can get matches online, but I think there's a decent amount of people that expected it to like blow up, and like this is like the replacement to Melee, which is very much not, right?
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, like it's obviously like I think we can praise Smash gameplay, which is good, but I think Smash also has the advantage of just having the most popular IPs like on the planet. Like Mario's more
Yeah.
like recognizable than like any fighting game character. Well, Marvel, I guess Marvel might have some comparable pull, right? Which is very good for Tokon, right? But
Yeah, but even now I'm like Marvel's in a weird period in the MCU. Where I'm like, I
it
think we've-
is, but like it's
like-
still this is still the generation of people that the MCU was like the cultural like center of like media like only like half a decade ago, right?
Yeah. This
So,
is
It's
probably
it's still the right time, yeah.
No, I think you're right. It's just, I think it's really what Smash does right is IP, and that's something that no other fighting game can like compete with. Where I'm like, Rio will never be as popular as Mario, Guilty Gear, no clothes, nowhere close.
So
But
I want to heavily disagree on some of those things. Um, One, I think Smash is a monopoly, and we need to stop this monopoly. I think half the time I'm like, why would I not just play Smash Ultimate
We're
or
libertarians here.
or Smash Melee, right?
I actually
Second,
kind of
oh
I
sorry,
quietly hate all Smash clones, but keep going.
but anyways, yeah. So I think half the time people are like, I can just play Smash. Why would I play this? And I think it's just because Smash is a monopoly. Two, and I think this is very funny to say after we just had this conversation. I think it's the character roster. I think me and Joshua, when we both looked at Rivals 2, we were like, what do we play? And like I settled on the loot. But did I like was like, this is my character, I'm gonna stick with it like I did with some of the fighting games I played? No. I felt like there was a chance that I switched from this character really fast. And I think that it actually is funny enough, it comes down to the character roster. I didn't like any of the characters that much, and Loot was the closest one. I think Joshua faced the same problem in Rivals 2, where he didn't find a character that he liked as much, right?
Well, that's true. I agree. Like specifically for Rivals 2, but I guess I was trying to talk about like the larger trend. Like, okay, we can say that for Rivals 2, but is that really true for like all of like the Smash clones, right? Like, is that
Yeah,
like, or
that's
maybe
almost
is there like something, maybe it is really like not even like the gameplay, like it's just
Yeah, and IPs
Mario.
do matter, right? Like you have Sora come in and like Smash exploded. You have Steve come in and like
Oh,
little kids are playing. Like these IPs do matter, and they matter a lot, by the way. But
that's crazy to start with Sora. But yeah, I get it.
no, I know a lot of people
Uh,
who like started playing Smash because of Sora, who are just like big Kingdom Hearts. I know that's like not a lot, but like
yeah, but,
me
like those are
personally,
sickos. Those are real sickos. And
and
like,
now you're hitting our Disney sponsorship. Please, guys, please.
look, I was about to say versus Minecraft, which is the great IP, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where
Microsoft.
secretly would love a Minecraft sponsorship. That'd be kind of great. But I was going to say, I mean, like Emily, I don't know. I think actually Ultimate does it slightly wrong, where at some point I think it's too large. Like um, in Ultimate in particular, where
Yeah.
there's just so many characters to the point where I'm like, it becomes annoying where uh, and like every character is slightly different from each other, where it becomes annoying to play against characters because you're like, I've never seen this character before. I've barely played against this character, and now I have to figure out how this works versus the character I chose, which is hopefully my main character. Um, there's nothing more annoying than like running into like a Yoshi, and you have not played against a Yoshi for months, and you're like, damn, I have to deal with this thing, and like, uh, and you get one and done, and maybe you're not playing your main character, and then you can't even switch, so you just have to hold the L,
So
and there's nothing you can do. Yeah.
let me say this: you don't think Tokon's gonna be the same because it's a 4v4. For you have to have 8 players already, right? You don't think the roster like gonna be gigantic, and not like Smash level gigantic, Smash Ultimate level gigantic, but bigger than most games, right? You don't think you're just gonna have a gigantic roster, and then you're gonna run into I don't know a Magneto that you never fought against, and then he just like whips you because he had that one Magneto in his team. All 4 characters may be like meta characters, and this Magneto whips you. You get tilted, leave, and like I just think the same thing can happen in Tokon, which is not a big complaint. I don't big rosters is yes pluses and bad sides to what you said bad sides, but also brings more players in general. Like I bet Magneto fans are drooling in their mouth when I said that, but like there's the negative bad sides, but to point out your bad sides, like I don't know, I think Tokon will be the
Wait.
same way.
Okay. I'm gonna push back because I'm gonna use other like roster. I think that's a Smash problem in particular because most fighting game rosters are actually kind of well done. Like for even like Street Fighter, they only choose like four. They add only like four characters per season. Usually there's like a season pass, and like generally there is not like even at the end of the game you start feeling that way. Where like, oh damn, there's a lot of characters now. Like the end of Street Fighter Five, it was like, damn, there's a lot. But usually it's pretty manageable. I just looked up Marvel vs. Capcom like roster sizes in like uh
But we're in the
so like
modern era. That's like, yes, I
well
understand.
okay, first let me go through Marvel. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was like had only like 36. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite had 30, which is a dead game. But more importantly, DBFZ, which I think is the beginning of the modern era, had 44 at the end. Like this is including all the 20 characters, and then like you have to consider 8 of them are Goku, so there's actually way less. But I think in general, like with 4v4, there will be annoying moments where you'll fight against a team that you never fought against before, and that may be annoying. But like, I don't think it would be that crazy, honestly. I've never really had complaint of people not knowing like, how to. Well, I've heard
Well, I
complaints.
think
Yeah.
one thing for tag fighters historically is that they become crazy centralized. Like,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
so
that's true.
there's not the problem of variety because you're playing against Android 21 every game, or you're playing against the same like three in Marvel, or like like, or you're playing
Yeah.
against Cell every game in DBFZ. So like, okay, like yeah, you're not having a variety problem, but it's the exact opposite. So I don't know, like,
Okay, you're right. I actually don't have a response to that because it is just the problem with all tag fighters, where I'm like, Marvel 2, which is the gold standard, evolves around 4 characters at this point, which is kind of crazy. I I I do think the uniformity of games may prove to be good, because in general, if player like game characters perform pretty similar to each other, it gives more chance for like balancing to be more balanced. Like I don't know, better. Like DBFZ, I don't know. We all fell off on DBFZ, but like every time I've checked, I check in every 8 months, and every 8 months, like the meta is very different. There's a new top tier that I have to learn about, and then it seems like a very different game every time. I guess what, and I think that may also become because of patches, which is old games do not have, which is nice to have.
yeah, I guess that's also part of it that Williams just don't have patches.
Yeah, I kind of went off. Uh,
But
I don't know.
to throw you
Wait.
back on track, because you said you got off, right?
Yeah.
In general, for the system, and like characters and like why things work, fighting games is very complex, right? Because you have to have a good cast, you have to have a good system. One of these things doesn't happen, I think it does break. Like, admittedly, I think Rivals 2, which merely just has melee system, is decent enough, and but they just had a bad cast, right? And I've also played fighting games where I'm like, I don't like the system, and but like the cast is good. Like again, I played a little bit of what is it? What the other tag, Blaze Blue tag, cross tag, and I played actually a decent amount more. And I was like, I don't like getting Happy Birthday. It's a very interesting system. I like 2 characters. I found my actually 3 characters I like, but I don't know. The system's like, I don't like tag fighters. It's in the story. I just don't like tag fighters. So it's like, that broke it for
Fair.
me. right? And so
Right.
it's just like you have to have a perfect combination of both. And then on top of that, you have to get, because again, if we had this game where it was only motion inputs, it's gonna be bad. Because like not a lot of people would drop. Like everyone was like, I'm gonna play this Spider-Man, and then find out Spider-Man's like heavily complex, and they don't want to break their hands playing it, right? Then it's like, well, you
I
know,
hope they don't do that.
but that's what I'm trying to say. Like, you need a good system. You need a good like way to get early people into it. Let it be early control schemes, or maybe even just a really good tutorial. To be honest, a really good tutorial may slap, but probably not. Probably just a modern control scheme system, a good game system, and then a good roster. But you like I said, we're Marvel, so we're already gonna have a good roster.
That's the weird thing about Marvel Spider-Man in particular. It's like he's not good in any of Marvel vs. Capcom game. He's the most popular character, and he's weirdly complex. Every time people talk about that character, they're like, "Oh, he's hard to play." I'm like, "Why are you making the most popular character you have complex, hard, and mid? Like, just make a layup. Do layups, man." I This is why I'm like, thank God Arc System will fix it. We'll finally have a good Spider-Man. They won't do. You at the beginning of this, you said like your fears are we're gonna have like a Goku problem, and I'm like, Marvel has had such a better round of characters like to work off of that I don't think they'll ever have to worry about that problem. Until
See-
like I don't know DLC season like 5 or something, but
I say that, but I want Spider-Man 2077, I think it is, to be there. So
I'm gonna be honest. There might be just I get mad, but I'm like there will probably be 2 Spider-Man. Like there's got to be like original Spider-Man and then Miles Morales, but then they got cut it off. That's it.
Nah, bro, we're getting Spider-Gwen. We're getting 2099. We're getting
Spider Noir, we're getting
I
anime
agree.
Spider-Man.
Better be like season 5. I better be 33 at that point. Oh, oh my God.
Uh,
I
yeah.
can't. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think that was pretty much what we had on roster. Guys, what's your favorite Marvel superhero? Let's just end on that. Marvel.
Okay, I'll go because my opinion least matters as someone who did not grow with superheroes, let alone Marvel, and have only experienced new age movie as like Infinity War and stuff like that. Fake answer is it's Jeff, because of Marvel Rivals. Real
The more I think
answer.
about it, the more I'm mad at that. Like, as if that character got in, I'd be pissed. Pissed.
Real answer,
Like,
it's like it's probably just Spider-Man. It's the only thing I've really grown up with. And like my Spider-Man, I don't think I don't know. Yeah, it's just that's it. I love all the Spider-Man movies. I've watched every single one. Just not Marvel movies in general. But yeah, it's probably just Spider-Man generically.
I'm an
Uh,
X-Men fan. Some of the less popular X-Men, well, still fairly popular, but I really like Angel. I like
Ooh.
Rogue. I like Nightcrawler, but I have to go with Wolverine, bro. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He's him.
Wait, Kenny, you're back.
Kenny's alive. Kenny, what's your
Always
favorite?
been here.
What's
I
your
was about to
favorite?
say, like,
In our
damn,
hearts.
I actually do love Angel too. Damn, but that's kind of crazy. But Kenny, what's your favorite Marvel character?
I have no idea, honestly. So you'd think that I've thought about this, but I haven't. So I'm not very big on Marvel. I'm not really big on hero things. And yeah,
Yeah, get him.
Like, you grew up during the MCU. You have an opinion. You do.
It's weird though, because like I don't. I guess because it's weird. I don't know if I like. I don't know how to describe it, but I feel like there's just certain. I like lighthearted things. I like sort of things. So I really like, Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff like that with Star-Lord.
So
So
your favorite
that
character is
was,
Star Lord?
but
No, that's a great answer, man. Oh,
yeah,
yep.
but I guess I don't know how it compares to like what it, even if they showed up in like whatever comics beforehand. So I guess that's just from like sort of what I've sort of looked at from watching the current media that was at least present within my lifetime.
Yeah, and we're asking your favorite, so don't worry about whatever media or whatever says.
No, like
Again,
I don't
I
know.
I didn't grow up with it either, but I do have a somewhat of opinion.
So yeah, Star-Lord, that's it.
Yeah, I like that. And then to end off, I don't know. I think I watched and consumed the most Marvel shit out of everyone here. I loved X-Men like Joshua. Angel was a great pick. When I was a kid, he was my favorite X-Men because he could fly and I wanted wings. Um, Also Rogue. I don't know. I liked the fact that she was cult. Like I don't know. She was tragic. She was also from Mississippi. Spoiler, but a lot of us we have Mississippi roots.
I've
I
never been
think
there.
like, well, damn, you. I thought I saw you there, but maybe I'm thinking about someone else. But
Hmm.
short answer is I do like Hawkeye a lot. I
That's
don't know.
the what?
Yeah.
I just think he's so. Even as a kid, I thought it was so funny that he's on the X-Men. I mean, the Avengers, man.
I was like, wait,
That's so
what?
funny.
That's your
I
reason.
He's so funny. Bro, I was like, you could get like a gun. Like he could get they could upgrade his shit, but then he's like, no, I'm a bow and arrow guy. And I'm like, he's out here fighting aliens from outer space with a bow. And he's sticking to it. He has no other powers. He's just out and like in the comics he's wearing like a purple getup. He's so stupid, and he makes me laugh every time I think about him.
I'm
He,
I'm sorry. I'm flabbergasted because like I have a friend who loves Hawkeye, but for different reasons, right? Um,
no, it's also cool. Yeah.
archery reasons. Hearing your reason and just knowing who you are, and like even people hearing that you have watched and consumed a lot of Marvel media, that's just not what I expected. Am I crazy?
Right? Have you
Did
ever
you guys
read?
ever think Hawkeye
What do
for
you expect?
horrors?
But like, I feel like my explanation explains every choice about me, about like my fighting game. Like this is said by like a Bowser Jr. man.
Hey, that's what I was about to say.
Like, all of a sudden, it like all makes sense. We're like, oh no, he would not. Yeah. Uh, Of course, I love that character. Of course, I've read the comics. He's also cool in the comics, where he's like low key. He has a sad life in the comics. He lives in an apartment. I laugh at that. I think that's so funny. I'm
That's
like, bro, he
insane.
really is just a guy. He's not getting paid extra. He can't get a house. No. Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Like I
Great
said,
guy.
that just surprised me. But yeah, no, no, it makes sense, but it's still just not something I expected. But that's okay. Uh, Interesting. All
Yeah.
right.
I mean, no, hope he's in the game. Well, can't wait to play some Hawkeye. Uh,
All right. If that's all for Marvel, let's move on to our last topic. Do you want to start this one off, Joshua?
Sure, talking about steak.
Yeah, we can go. Yeah, we can do steak. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So steak. I have a little bit of a steak story. Um, but I went to a Michelin guide restaurant and it was a
What?
dim sum style restaurant.
Oh,
So they, how it works is that like each chef had a dish they cooked, and they came around, and you decided if you wanted it or not, or how many you wanted or whatever. I went there with two friends. Most of it was mid. Actually, that's not true. The beginning was just like fancy food, which is just like, it was just like celery and cucumber, like arranged fancily with like a little sauce and just like other stuff like that, which just very much didn't impress me. But it started getting better and better. There was like some veal that was very good. Um, some like mushroom dish that was good. It was like picking up, and it ended with like the filet mignon. Best steak I've had maybe ever. This was like maybe a week and a half ago. Um, and I guess what I'm saying is usually I get my steak medium. But at this fancy, like at a steakhouse or like at a very like fancy restaurant, like they're just gonna cook the steak automatically like medium rare, right? And at those kind of places, I trust them to cook it well anyway, right? So like it's
Yeah.
fine. But usually I go medium. This steak was like medium rare. Maybe leaning towards rare. But it was a great. It had like I don't know what was on the side, like beef tongue or something. But it was just like very salty. It went great with the steak. Some like leafy green, a nice sauce. Whoever the people I was eating dinner with, they ordered like absinthe after. Does anybody know what that is?
No, what is that?
Yes,
I
like
do.
a drink. But
I don't.
what?
Please
Yeah.
inform.
So like I didn't know what it was, but it's it's an alcohol.
Yeah.
That's like apparently it's usually made in France, but this one was made like more locally. Um, but it's like over like 40%. And it apparently has some psychedelic effects.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah. So my friend like drank a shot of that, and I was like, bro, and like I took a little sip, like vile, like like Kenny would like explode if he had a sip of it.
it just like
Um,
melt spontaneously.
yeah, just like spontaneously combust, just like erased from history. And then I was like, bro, you want another one on me? I eventually pressured him into getting it, and he had another one, and he drove us there, right? And
Oh.
and
shit.
but no,
Dude.
we got our other friend to drive to like take his car. But just like in the back, he was like, "Bro, like I feel like I'm high right now, but I haven't even smoked, bro." Like, and just like I don't know, like just interesting. But that's my steak story. Steak is great. I'm proud for our show to be named after steak.
Do you think steak is like one of your favorite food in general?
So a good steak is just very good. I don't know if I would say. I think, out of the proteins, I think chicken is better overall due to its versatility. Um, but steak is like right behind it. Yeah, steak, beef in general, like it's very good.
Yeah. Uh, anyone else want to go next?
Steak story.
Yeah, think of a story. You can
I
just
got
rate
I got a story, but like
steak
rate
if you want.
steak. Anything you want to talk about steak?
Okay. Tommy, you go.
All right, yeah. I actually got some stuff. So well, first of all, my last birthday was at a steak place. It wasn't like at like an insanely fancy steak place. It's your I can't remember what it was, but it's like your Roadhouse, your Longhorn, your
Outback.
Outback.
Like a Texas
It's
Roadhouse.
I can't remember which.
Yeah.
I do know which one it is. I just don't want to say. I don't know why I don't want to. It was Longhorn. Um,
Oh,
I was like, okay.
but
huh.
so it was interesting because when I was a sophomore in college, we actually went to go eat steak, and this is a very fond moment that me and my roommates regret because we were just dumb and stupid and don't know why this happened. There was a time where we went to get steak 2 times a week.
Okay.
It
Oh.
was
Like full on steakhouse.
So yes. And let me explain a little bit more. This doesn't help my case. Like it'll help lighten it, but it wouldn't fully explain why we did this because I don't even know why. But we went to Longhorn, and Longhorn has really good soup. They have 3 soups: a loaded potato, French onion, and a clam chowder. My roommate loves the clam chowder soup. He gets 2 bowls of that every single time. I love my loaded potato soup, in any place, right? In general, Longhorn does have really good baked potato soup. On top of that, their appetizers are really, really good. They have chicken bites that taste really good, and wings that are really tender and really nice, and some really good sauce. We also get baited because we're there to get steak. And so then we bought steak, and we get steak sometime. We get steak there because we're at a steakhouse. And then after that, there's a period in our lives where we literally just wanted to get appetizers. And I thought it was a weird thing at first, walking up to a lady. I was like, yeah, all of us, none of us are going to get any steak. We're just going to get 6 appetizers to fill us up. And it was a very interesting experience. But I had my last, so I did have my last birthday there, and it was paid for. And I felt really bad because there was a steak I did want to try, but it was their most expensive steak. I did end up getting it because he was like, "Oh, it's chill, whatever, right?" But I don't know. Me and my roommate have both decided that we both can make probably steaks that are better, that taste at least better to us than here. So that's why we only get appetizers, and it's also really expensive. But no, steak's good. I eat my medium rare. One thing that's very interesting though, one of my family members eats steak. Is it rare? Almost blue rare.
Blue rare. Yeah.
Almost blue
Yeah.
rare.
They want to hear it mooing, the cow mooing.
So
Yes.
so
Yeah.
and I thought this was crazy too because I didn't know this, right? Because I don't go eat steak with my family every so often. This person lives in New York, by the way, and he found a real. He says he's found an insane place that does insane blue rare steak. And as someone who eats medium rare, just a little bit of blood, I found it that was insane. It's like I was like, is it alive? Did you just poke it and it tipped over and then you just called it there?
Have y'all had steak tartare?
That is blue rare steak, isn't it? With some stuff on it.
It's raw, yeah. It's raw. They prepare it with I don't remember exactly how, but yeah, it's raw. That was one of the dishes at the same restaurant I went to, and I wasn't that impressed, but.
Yeah.
I don't see the appeal. It's fine, but yeah.
I like it cooked. But
I thought it was crazy that one of my family members ate blue rare steak. He tried to justify it to me, like there was ever a world where I convert over to the blue rare steak gang, right? And I was like, this is insane. And he told me he'll take me to try it one day, and we haven't done it yet, but maybe I'll try it and I'll be converted to a blue rare steak boy. But I don't know. Steak is my top 3 favorite foods. I think I make it very well. I do a lot of different things. There's a lot of different things you can do to it. A lot of different cuts. Yeah. No, I think steak's really good. I eat mine, like I said, I eat mine medium rare. But God, blue rare steak. I don't know. It's just interesting. Kenny, how do you eat your steak?
My steak, yeah. I eat it medium rare. And I'm not gonna lie, I can't remember the last time that I had steak. I guess wait, are we talking about steakhouse steak or just any kind of beef?
A steak, not just beef. But like,
Because like
Yeah.
I guess whenever
Steakhouse,
I
yes.
eat Mexican, I'd eat a carne asada, which is essentially that's like a steak, kind of pretty much.
Sorry,
It's like beef, pretty much.
sorry, I
Disagree.
lied. I eat steak every day. I go to Taco Bell.
Oh yeah, well, okay.
I get the
that's
steak
just, I think
chalupa.
that's beef.
No, I'm
Beef,
I'm
I
messing with you. But
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, no.
And then and then after that, I guess the most recent steak that wasn't from a steakhouse is there's this Japanese place back in college in a college town where I was. They made a steak teriyaki on a sizzling plate with onions. That was for some reason the most. It probably it wasn't like it was good. I don't know if it was like food critic good, but I loved it. It was like tender, it was tasty, and it was filling. It was like $20, I think.
$20
like,
for
lunch.
like really that's cheap for a steak.
Yeah,
Wow, I think that's cheap. I don't know how
Steak
small it
teriyaki.
is.
it was it was a fair portion.
Like,
I don't know. I can't remember.
Fillets are cheap and they're like $20-$30. That's I mean again.
Yeah, I guess we're
I'm also in
factoring
a
in whatever.
rich state, so yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. We already set the state, but yeah. I mean,
Oh yeah. But anyways, Horace. Moving on, Horace. Anything about steak you would like to add? Fun facts, stories, what kind of steak you
I
eat?
think I like steak the least out of everyone here. I've already mentioned the.
just for everybody's information, worst food opinions by far here.
Like, that's not true. This one's not even my fault. My parents cook steaks well done and would only order steaks well done for me. And they also don't like salting steaks, so we don't
What?
salt or season steaks.
Your family for sure, bro. Yeah, like I'm sure.
Yeah, but
you
like-
have taste buds, yeah, definitely.
No, I'm saying that this. I always thought steaks were trash for this reason, but I've thought about it. And I was like, I've only had trash steaks, so now I'm like, but I don't. Because I have all this baggage with steaks, I don't want to order it when I go to a restaurant. I want to go to something I know I like more. So I gravitate
That's
towards
crazy.
like chicken or dishes or like other things. I don't know. I don't like.
Okay, wait.
it's- Yeah. I don't
Just a couple
remember
of
the last
things.
time it's steak. Yeah. Keep going.
Because I have the same problem with my roommate, by the way. My roommate's very cautious, and whenever we go to something new and he's like, that sounds good, I should get it, and he gets something that he doesn't, he gets something completely different. I'm like, why? But two things here is, right, as we here are all talking about how good steak is, yum, it's, it's one of the better foods we eat, right? Why have you tried just like a steak? Like, steakhouse cook steaks, brother, are not the best steaks, at least in my opinion. Like I said, I think I cook better steaks better, but have you tried like a steakhouse steak?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so.
I'll also say there's a difference, like Longhorn and like Outback steaks. They aren't bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not being snobby, but there is a difference between those steaks and like a
Oh, yeah,
very
yeah.
nice restaurant steak.
Ever been
That's
a
very
Ritz, Chris?
expensive.
Oh yeah, 100%. I will
Yeah.
say that, but I'm not rich enough to do that yet.
I think
Also, as a person who lives in an expensive state/city, it also the prospect of me going to like a.
Huh?
Oh no, we don't know where I am. We don't even know where. But the prospect of me ordering a steak sounds too expensive. Where I'm like, ugh, I hate going to. Versus like, there's a lot of great food where I'm at where I can get it cheaper and it's closer to things I know. Versus like me sitting down at a steak, a place where I'm like, oh, it's going to be nice, it's going to be good steak.
Okay,
But I'm also like, I don't know.
so
Okay,
Go
okay.
for it.
Wait, sorry. Will say I hyped up all these steaks. it's not worth going to a fancy restaurant just to eat these nice steaks. Okay, it's not worth the money. Don't get me wrong. It's just
Yeah.
if you're already going to a fancy restaurant, the steaks are very good.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
I will also, chime in and say this, right? We have different rarity of steaks for a reason. And like, don't grab at me. I know some people who like well done steak, and like you said, you've only well done steak, and I hear various reasons on why they well done steak, right? But like, you hear these different styles, right? And I don't know. It's just like you never like. I know like blood may not sound appetizing when you hear about it, right? Like, what's the difference from well done and like medium rare? There's some blood in it, right? It doesn't sound appetizing, but like.
No,
I
I've
think-
had like a burger. I don't know.
Yeah, but
Burgers are like more.
you
Yeah.
should just try it, right? I think you need to go out right now and and even just order yourself a steak. I think is
guess-
fine.
I think if you
That's
just order
fair.
a random steak, you're gonna be not that impressed.
I think
I
it's
will
better
say
than well done
burgers-
steak.
Burgers, they need to calm the fuck down. Sometimes, like they get a little too creative with it. Like they try to do it like medium rare. I'm like, bro, you need to like lock in and cook my burger.
Yeah. I get that. Okay, that one I feel. I just you know what? I think you're right. And also I really wanted to say I'm not a proponent of well done. I think I hate steaks because I had it like well done and it's rubbery and chewy and it sucks. I think whenever I see people have it medium, I'm like, oh, it might be good. I just never put myself in a position to get a steak, so maybe I'll try it sometime.
I'll say this, unless anyone has any other closing remarks. All right, I'll say this, right, and I'm just very curious because it's always been on top of my mind, right? If you get a high grade steak, like let's say you get a Japanese A5 Wagyu steak, right? Would you cook it? Like, what would you cook it if you had to cook it yourself or ask someone to cook it? And what would you put on it? Because, it's very interesting. I hear some people just say, cook it how, like, I always cook it, And so I hear some, like, it's a little special because
Honestly,
the
A5
special
I will
Wagyu.
say, I thought traditionally, if it's true A5 Wagyu, the cream of the crop, the marbling perfect, so fatty, I hear, or at least the way that I've seen it, you have to cut it into kind of like thinner strips and then literally give it the hint of like heat to give it the little bit of char. You don't even need to like grease a pan or whatever. The fat's going to take care of that. But it's so rich that you're just supposed to do like bite-sized pieces.
Yeah.
Literally
yeah.
the most flavorful things in the world. You have to treat it with care and just like you give it the suggestion of heat before consuming it, and then that's how you're supposed to do it.
Horse?
I've seen the same videos. So, like, out of respect to the videos in the brand, I would do, like, I would get, like, just that and a side of, like, white rice because people pair it together. But if I had to be honest and true to myself, I'd make a burrito out of that. I'd make it carne asada burrito.
I need you to stop. I need you to stop. I need you to
I
stop.
was like,
please.
damn, I really
I will
want.
say, I would try that. I would try that. But also,
I thought-
though, I'm always just worried because they're always like, it's always like a rich thing. I don't want like my first bite and then like, I'm gonna be like stuffing it down and be overwhelmed by the time I get halfway through the whole thing.
Yeah, but like, I think I do have a powerful stomach where I'm like, once I start eating, I'm like, I'm gonna finish this. This is gonna happen. And I do, even if it feels bad. I think I would just power through, especially when I think about the price. I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna waste this A5 Wagyu. Like, I made my mistake, but that's it. I'm not doing shit about it. But
So,
yeah.
as someone who's well done steak, right? You're like
Because
most people.
gut costs healthy,
As
alright.
Kenny said, you just sear it, so you eat it close to raw. You fine with that? I'm just curious. As someone
Yeah.
who's only, okay.
My problem isn't raw. It's more like I've never had good steak. I've had just bad steak all my life. My dad loves no seasoning. He would put ketchup, a side of ketchup.
Oh, that's something I need to ask too. But I want to hear Joshua. You have any opinions on like how you do A5 Wagyu?
No, I don't have strong opinions about it. I
Yeah.
would cook it. Put salt, pepper,
He doesn't deserve it.
some
He's
butter.
not worthy. He's not worthy.
Some cooking, maybe.
Yeah,
Get him.
Ed.
Hit him up.
Get him.
Yeah.
Okay. The last thing is, I see this all the time, and Mississippi's some places Mississippi's a little different. Do you guys do condiments like A1 sauce or ketchup with your specifically steak, not like fries on the side, just like steak? Do you eat anything like any sauce with steaks?
Okay,
Of course,
wanna
you
hear
probably-
something foul
Sure.
that I do. I always grab the entire salt, like not the salt shaker, but you know how the Morton salt thing.
Yes, I'm scared.
I grab that, and then I add mayo, and I eat it like that.
Wait, the Morton salt? This thing
What?
Yeah, I
Oh,
add more because I'm having unseasoned meat with nothing. So I add some salt,
like
some mayo on
the
it.
the girl with
Not
the
the
umbrella,
worst
like
food
that
person here.
cylinder.
Bro, sometimes
Yeah.
hard times create strong men.
I don't
No,
know
I-
how. You can say
I'm
you're not the
strong-
worst
It's
food
just
person
like a
here
strong
after
gut.
Yeah, but like you
coated
haven't
with
heard
that
my good food opinion.
well-done
This is
steak
me at my
char.
low. I will admit I do not know anything about steaks. This is just
Mayo with salt.
I think mayo is the
Do you,
best
would-
condiment.
do you dip your fries
Maybe-
in that too?
Yeah, I do.
Oh my.
I do. I'm a mayo
fries and
enjoyer.
mayo is
No,
fine.
but
It's
salt
just-
mayo is the problem. It's not
I
just
don't know if you
mayo.
remember this.
I
but
mean-
in middle school I would put mayo on my hot dogs and eat it at the cafeteria.
That's fine. I mean, like hot dog. I don't care about that. Wait,
Okay.
wait.
Yeah.
I just got like a flashbulb memory. I recall when I was in elementary school eating sandwiches with white bread, sausages, and mayo, and I was just fine with it. So I can't say
Mayo?
anything.
It's so good. Mayo is a great condiment, and add it to your steak. Trust me.
Anyway,
Okay, I don't know about that.
If you have
Nick-
a trash
Cut off
steak,
like a little piece of it and ask for like a small dab of mayo on like one of those saucer plates, just to give you the benefit of the doubt and see if you're just an innovator that we're all woefully like criticizing. And I can't
You
say
know what's-
that.
what's really annoying because you cook it because we cook it well done. As my dad would say, we want the cow dead, and we want them really make sure. It like even if you added salt like onto it, it wouldn't stick. It was like that done. So what you do, so you constantly have to add salt and mayo in order to taste something.
I can't. I can't.
It's a coping mechanism for times of hardship. You
I
must
can't. Are you in the army trying to like just
Bro.
bite off leather?
it did go crazy when I would come to Discord calls with you with steak.
jaws of iron
This-
keep
This
steel.
is, I would be eating this during Discord.
Oh no!
Wait, really? What is that?
Yeah, I do remember that. I remember one time I got my dad cooked steak and rice. My dad's not a good cook. We'll talk about this another day. But he cooked steak and rice. I was like, I grabbed my Morton salt, I squeezed my mayo, and I walked upstairs and I started talking to you guys again. I don't know.
Alright. Kenny, do you eat steak with any condiments?
Favorite condiments? I'm not gonna lie. When I was younger, I used to do ketchup, but like then I realized that I don't want to sound snobbish, but I just came more like I'm curious how whatever the chef or whatever the establishment wants me to taste. So I didn't need ketchup more than it is. I was just used to the taste of ketchup. So like, if you ask me today, I'd say no. I don't put any condiments on it. I just eat it as is.
That's valid.
Man,
Josh.
I can't. Never mind. I was gonna say like sometimes I put butter on it, but I don't know where that thought came
That's
from.
normal. Like just
That's so
Is it?
normal.
Yeah,
That's
what?
actually.
Was it okay? I don't know.
I actually
so, like,
think.
I didn't. escape
Horse,
route
you
just
can't talk
in
about
case.
what's normal. I need you to
No, no,
sit down.
no, it just hit me that I've never put butter on my steak.
I need you to sit down. I need you.
Oh my
I need
God,
you to
wow.
So
sit.
that reminds me actually.
This
So
man is literally
when I was-
eating leather.
okay, so when I was getting a carne asada from a Mexican restaurant, it was really nice. Came on a sizzling plate, and it came with this little tin metal saucer of some kind of sauce, and I was like, "Dang, what's that sauce?" I was like, because I was doing my eating, I was like devouring it. Like I was practically inhaling that sauce, and I was like, "Oh, dang, what's this sauce? It's really nice." Which honestly, like that's probably the most that I've talked with my waiter ever, just because I'm very just like, "Thank you, bye." I don't, not rude, but just very whatever. That's beside the point. So I just
Good one.
like, oh,
That's crazy.
I was literally like, all right.
Dude, that's how you know we're
I-
Americans, brother. Holy.
I had to do a double take. I was like, wow. I think I was just like,
Boxing,
I
bro.
was
We can do
drinking it
anywhere.
from the cup, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
I said I'm a part of a city and a state. I don't know.
So you're
Japanese.
not in Canada.
Whoa. A state
Probably-
province? Whoa.
That's not that, but that's not city state.
Oh,
That's a province.
The state of
State of
Canada.
Yeah,
Yeah.
state.
This
Come
state of
on.
state of
State
denial.
of the world? State.
State of matter. Anyways, Joshua, condiments.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm anti-condiments, anti-sauce fundamentally.
Oh, yeah, you
less-
are.
Less so these days.
That's-
So no, I don't really eat my steak with condiments. But if they give me like a sauce or something, I'll eat it. Like I said, the steak I ate just the other day had like a little like drizzle with it, which was good. But no, pretty much.
So
Okay, but that's different though. Would you consider like the sauce that the chef themselves has put on that as a
yeah,
sauce,
it doesn't
or is just
count.
part of the meal?
Sauce.
Yeah, it's-
Like there's a difference between eating a steak with a sauce and without a sauce. But yeah.
But so I'll say this to answer. It is just so I used to be drenched that shit in A1 sauce, like full blown. If it's not covered, I'm not eating it, right?
Oh my god.
I since have changed, but that was me when I was a kid. But I think I just love sauce and like sauces in general. I think it's cool that I can like dump sauce on something and it tastes like either better or just different.
It tastes like sauce. Fucking condiment addicted scum.
You're actually insane. But I think
I don't want to hear it, leather boy.
describe condiments, but I'm on
Leather
your side.
boy.
I'm on your side, man. I am literally defending you. It's crazy to go. Okay, fine. Fuck you. Die in the snow.
Oh, wow, wow.
I,
That was uncalled for. Not only
Anyway-
did you curse, but you told him to die. Wow. That was-
Anyways, anyway, so back. I don't do this anymore. I think when I eat sushi, I used to like drench or like do a decent amount of soy sauce. But and then I you know I been better, and by that I mean I just don't use sauces at all. Also, I'm like I realized that there is a lot of flavor that the chef or the person preparing it does add on. Because as a kid I didn't care. I'm just like sauce go on, add more flavor. But now I realize that like there's a lot of complexity that chefs do to a lot of different foods. Sushi being one of them, and so I say this because it started with sushi. I started adding sauce, and then I remember I watched a video saying like people just hate it when you ask for A1 sauce, and like I realized steak's the same way, so I also started eating steak without sauce, and it is pretty good. But sometimes when I definitely do it, I definitely put sauce on for leftover steak. But yeah, Um,
Oh
Yeah.
wait, I want to defend myself for a second. In general, I do trust at restaurants. I trust the chef. So whatever they say goes. I trust them. So like if they're like, oh, this goes sauceless, there will be no sauce. I will not eat it with sauce. I'm not like that type of picky eater. It's more like, um,
no mayo and
Preference.
salt. You're asking the waiter for.
I'm not being insane in front of people. This is very, very key. I'm not going to do that. I will just eat my rubber steak in silence because it's usually well done. So my parents we would argue if I ever tried to order anything that was not well done. My parents would argue it to be well done.
Hmm.
Either it was not a we were a well done household no matter what. Um, but yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Other than that, any last closing remarks on steaks? All right. Well, I will
steak
say
sandwiches are good. Man, I keep sorry.
this man, I hate this man. All right. Well, no, thank you. This is the first episode of the Steak Podcast. There will be more to come. Yeah. Thank you guys so much.